right, guys. Jared Lajani here with my good friend. Super excited to be here today with Mr. Jason Delatte, the GOAT of real estate in New Orleans. Right, that's what my wife calls him. So we're going to get into it, the guy, Main Street Moguls, and we're just going to get into it. Jason, you want to just introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, I want to first just say how much I appreciate it. This has been long overdue.
Long overdue. We should have done it a long time ago.
I remember when you said, "Hey man, we're moving to the city. We're going to expand. We're going to take some territory in New Orleans," and that's what we're called to do. We're called to expand in business and just serve the community. So I'm excited you guys been here. I'm excited for this opportunity. Hopefully that what we're talking about today is going to impact somewhat somewhere. And so I'm just excited, man. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it, man. So me and Jason, we moved to New Orleans as a business a while back. I know how difficult that can be. But I have some questions I want to get into you. But we kind of talked about it before camera. We'll just get into it a little bit because I think it was extremely brave what you've done. And I don't think everybody would do it. So I'd like to just touch on it real quick. But you basically moved your whole family from Thibodeau, where you had a very successful career already to start, right?
Yeah.
And uprooted your family and moved your whole family to New Orleans. And basically from scratch with really no contacts, started over and even have become more successful, I'd say, in real estate than you were before. And we'll get to the dynamics, but I guess the main thing I want you to speak on with that is the mindset to be able to do that. That had to be scary, right? I know fear is what stops a lot of people from moving forward and things. And I mean, to move your whole family to a big city and just start basically over. What was your mindset and how scary was that, Jason?
No, it was definitely, you're going to be both comfortable and uncomfortable in life, right? But a lot of people I've found, we're more likely to settle comfortable now, right? But then ultimately become uncomfortable later.
Yeah, so good.
Right? And so I said, you know what? I'd rather be uncomfortable now so that I can be comfortable later. Right? And so I looked at it that way. And I was very, even though it might not look strategic, I was very strategic before I moved my family. So obviously in real estate, I didn't know the land, I didn't know the area as much. And so what I did is for a whole year, I would travel down here once a week for what we call broker tour. When homes are listed.
So you drive from Thibodeau to New Orleans,
I
drive back home.
every Wednesday. I spend the whole day here learning the area. That way I wouldn't have
making no money.
Absolutely no money, right? But it was just planting seeds, right? Planting opportunity.
Man, that's that hustle, man. I love that, Jason. Man, thank you for sharing that, man. For those of you that don't know Jason, I'm just going to go into your background a little bit. Of course, he's the real estate guy, but before that, you were a physical therapist.
Yeah, I did.
I don't know if a lot of people know, but Jason was a preacher, and I've seen him preach. He's actually a very good preacher. He's a real estate agent, but not only is he a real estate agent, he's a coach. He coaches and helps other people in real estate. So just take me back a little bit, Jason. Walk me down that journey, man. I remember when you were a physical therapist, and you did pretty good with that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a good living.
Figure.
Yeah. And then I remember you, doing preaching. We've done Uganda together and missionary work together in the past. I remember you preaching to the masses, literally, right? Yeah. And then now you just kind of gravitated towards real estate. So kind of just take me down that journey of that path.
It's definitely been a journey of pivots.
Yeah, I'd say.
And so one thing we say in the real estate world, and just any business, you have to shift. And we say all the time, hey, shift happens.
Shift happens.
Shift happens, right?
I love it.
And so there's a term called economic Darwinism.
Okay.
Which either means you either adapt or die.
Adapt or die.
AI is
I like
coming.
to say grow or die.
Right? You know what I mean? And my dad always told me, he's like, man, it's funny now, but he said, man, the cockroach is not the smartest animal on the planet.
That's right.
But it is the most adaptable one.
I love that analogy.
Right?
I love it.
Like it's hard to kill those bad boys. Right? And so it's definitely been a journey of pivots. But so I remember one day, I kind of asked myself a question: what can I do for work when I'm 50 years old, where I'm working, but I'm not really working? You know what I mean? I'm not just, working offshore, blinded, just getting to the point where the physical labor, my body just couldn't do it. And my parents were always in real estate. They owned a couple apartments and a couple townhouses in Thibodeau. So I was always around the real estate thing. And it had just came out where you can get your real estate license online.
Oh, wow.
So that was I don't know how many years ago. And so I just like entrepreneurs. I burned the midnight oil. I would do physical therapy all day, come home, do the husband, do the kid, and I remember staying up from 10 o'clock to like 1 o'clock for 3 months straight, every night from 10 to 1, and I'd just go to school online, and that's how I got my real estate license.
Wow.
And then I did both for a year, because obviously, you can't just jump off the cliff. And so Dave Ramsey, Dave Ramsey couple at the time.
I remember I did Dave Ramsey back in the day.
So one of his principles is that you should always have at least 6 months of all expenses saved for any kind of tragedy. So I was like, you know what? Real estate is up and down. It's inconsistent, just like any entrepreneur, and like any business, right? You don't really know where your next check's coming from unless you establish it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put 6 months aside of all income. God forbid I don't sell a house for 4 months, 5 months. My family's not in jeopardy.
That's good.
And when I had that 6 months, I saw it was something from Steve Harvey. He said, yeah, and I love that guy. And he said, have you ever been on the cliff of life, standing on the cliff of life with a parachute on your back, and you're watching everybody else take that jump and soar and glide? He's like, and you never jump.
Yeah, I've heard that. If nobody's ever heard that, man, if you've never heard that Steve Harvey analogy, look it up. One of the main things we try to do here at Main Street Mogul is we want to encourage young people that are maybe thinking about getting into entrepreneurship to take that jump. And fear is the number one thing that stops people from becoming business owners or getting entrepreneurship for many reasons. Yeah. One, because you lose something stable when you go in just what you said, that world where you're not earning money. But the biggest step and the hardest step for any entrepreneur, I've always said, there's so many challenges, but the first step is the hardest step. Just jumping is the hardest step. And if you go listen to that Steve Harvey thing, I think he kind of gives the analogy of jumping, building that parachute on the way down.
You'll never know if it opens unless you jump.
You'll never know unless you jump.
You'll never know.
Cool. So what were some of the pivotal moments that caused you to transform mostly into ministry from healthcare? Because you went into that before you even went into real estate.
Yeah, right? We was at a time of, we was in a bad place in our marriage, right? I committed some infidelity. I was searching for something that I thought the world could offer me. You know what I mean? And it's so, looking back now, I've never gambled. I never put $1 in a machine with money.
In other words, you never gamble with money.
But I gamble with my family. It's amazing. It's amazing how I was willing to put everything I've worked for, everything I've earned, everything. I was able to put all of that to the middle of the table for something that was ultimately empty. Right?
Wow.
So we were
something that the world would say that you needed or that you
absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't want to have that opportunity and do this and all that? It was bad. And so we got into church based off of that. That was, we need something, and we just felt like we needed God. And in that moment, it was such a tremendous healing. No therapy. You know what I mean? Not that we don't believe in therapy. It's just God said, I got this.
Wow.
And he single-handedly put our life together. And from that, just opportunity came. Because at the end of the day, man, I think life is just a series of transitions.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just transition after transition. And my motto, if there was a mission statement for Jason Delatte, is I want to help as many people possible transition to their next.
I love that, Jason.
Like whatever their next is. If it's real estate houses, then that's the next. If it's their relationship with the Lord, then that's next. If it's their whatever. Like everybody has a next because life is just a series of transitions.
Yeah.
And so, man, that door opened up for ministry. And look, at the end of the day, it's just serving people.
That's all you do.
In a different way. I'll serve them in physical therapy.
In a lot of ways, that's all business ever is. That's all ministry is. That's all business is. It's just serving the most people that you can.
That's 100%. So there's an opportunity for me to serve people in a new way I've never served.
I love that, man. Do you still preach at all or do any ministry at all right now? Or I know you're still a Christian and you still love God. I know that without a doubt. But are you preaching at all anymore?
Absolutely. But my pulpit has changed.
Okay. Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, people think preaching is just vocational preaching when it has to be in a church behind a pulpit. But listen, the Bible says that there are some pastors, some preachers, some evangelists, some prophets, right? But what? To edify the people. And so I had to go through that because I thought that was the only way God would want to use me, right? But he's used me more in the marketplace than he ever
So you've reached more people just in your day-to-day life than you ever did from the pulpit.
There are people who
that kind of reminds me of the saying that anybody that knows me has heard me say it, but I feel like it's appropriate to say here. I don't know if I've said it on Main Street Mogul, but it says preach the gospel at all times, use words when necessary.
Yeah.
Right? I've said it's one
T.F.
of my
Tinney.
favorites.
T.F.
T.F. Tinney, yeah, one of my favorite sayings, and that's kind of what you're doing. You're preaching through your whole life and your actions and your words and every action that you do. You're preaching, and it's so authentic. You'll reach so many more people doing that a lot of times than you ever will from a pulpit.
But it's just God, because I work in a corporate setting. With Tom Ferry, very international corporate coaching program, and just like religion and state, sometimes religion doesn't mix in business, and you got to be careful.
Sure.
And so there was a time where I was like, man, God, you got me in this marketplace, but I just feel like I can't be me. But over the last couple of years, we've seen a shift in the world as far as God and Jesus and all of that. And so it's so funny to say that I'm being sought out more as a faith-based coach than I ever was.
I love it.
But hey, I would like to coach you because we know you're a faith-based coach. And I've never promoted that.
Is it faith-based, or it's because they know your faith is genuine that they know they can trust you?
I'd say both.
Both. Yeah, I love it. So that's a big transition. Again, your whole life has been transitions.
Yeah.
You did ministry for a while. I know you had some success with that. Even started to found a church in New Orleans at one point. I know that didn't work out the way you wanted, but that was a big, bold step too.
Yeah, so, it's funny that God is just looking for people to say yes. You know what I mean? He'll give you a vision. He'll put something in your heart, and it's out of that obedience. Do I do it or do I not? Because if not, guess what? He'll move on to the next person who does say yes.
I love that, Jason.
And so, I'd rather be wrong for God than right for me any day of the week. And so we did do the church plant. COVID happened. It wasn't. I don't want to say it wasn't successful. Just obviously it wasn't God's timing, right? And so, but we were here, part of that. And so here's a cool thing. That, through all of that, we moved down here. We moved our family. We don't know anybody here. We came with part of a church plant. The church plant's not here, but we're still here.
Yeah.
Right? And the Lord showed me a vision. Woke me up at like 2 a.m. and I just started thinking about oak trees. I'm not as farthest away from a landscape guy as you can think of, right? But it showed
you don't even work in your own garden, right? No.
He showed me a oak tree, one of the ones that we see like lining up Carrollton and St. Charles, like these huge oak trees laying on its side going down the interstate. Oh, wow. And it had the roots all wrapped up in like black visqueen and stuff. You know what I mean? Like the big root ball of it, right? And that's all he showed me. And so I shared that with my wife, and just like God would do it, probably like you and Sky, right? After sharing that vision, he spoke to her the end of the vision.
Confirmed it. Wow.
Right? And he said, you guys allowed me to move you physically, right? 18-wheeler, right? But you haven't allowed me to move you spiritually.
Conviction.
Right? And so we knew from there it was time to transition away from our church that we came with, right? And going back after that, he just explained to me what that root ball was. He said the root ball is that's everything of the tree. If you take enough of the root, you can transplant that tree anywhere.
That's so good.
And so for us, it was one God, Jesus' name, baptism, and the power of the Holy Spirit. That's the root.
That's the root.
If I believe in that, and I stay true to that, he can plant me in any marketplace, any city, any nation. That's our root.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, just
that's how we
give me your yes,
transition.
like you said earlier.
And then you know what? It was a time for us to transition, from House of Prayer to Bethany, where we are now, and it was a good breakup, if you would. You know what I mean? We went to our pastors and told them where we were, and here we are. But now again, we have a greater sphere of influence here in New Orleans.
In a bigger city with more people,
more
reach,
more people, more serving.
Yeah, I love it, Jason. So you got away from not really got away from ministry, changed your ministry.
Yeah.
What drew you into real estate specifically, and what keeps you passionate about real estate?
I'll go back to my mission in life is to help as many people possible transition to their next.
Okay.
Right? And real estate was that way that I could help them people do that. So you got a couple who's not married, they get married, they get a little apartment, right? It's a transition.
They need some help.
Now they have their firstborn, they want to transition to a bigger house. And then they have their third, they need another bigger house, transition. Then the kids leave, right? Go off to college. Now they downsize, another transition. Then they stay in that house until they're 60, and now they got to be transitioned to an assisted living. So it was just a perfect way to me to help people transition just from a home standpoint.
I mean, I love that answer. A lot of people, when they get into real estate, they jump in chasing money. What do you think separates successful agents from the rest of them that don't make money? Because I think a lot of people, when they get into real estate, they think it's easy, right? Or they think it's a way to make a bunch of money.
You see the Chip
quick.
and Joanne show.
Yeah, you see all that,
HGTV,
right?
Yeah.
So I know you didn't get into it for money. I know you probably had a deeper why than just chasing money. But what does separate the people that are able to have success in real estate versus the unsuccessful agents? Which I'm sure, being a coach, you really get a good perspective on that.
And there's a quote I heard a long time ago. I'll never forget this. This might be something I put on my grave, right?
Golly,
Tony Robbins.
I love Tony
He
Robbins.
said, "Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure." So if whatever you feel you're successful in, if you're not fulfilled, then what is it?
Yeah, so you can make all the money in the world and still feel poor.
There's billionaires that put guns in their mouths for every day.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
so I mean, real estate for me, the serving aspect of it fulfilled me. The coaching aspect of it fulfilled me.
Mm-hmm.
I just love being a part of people's process, right? For you to call me and say, "Hey, man, we're moving out to New Orleans. Help us find a building." Like, just to be a part of that, to say, "Hey, man, you a part of this," or the text message I'll get from my client to say, "Hey, coach, I got the listing. What
excited.
A role play that we did work." They actually just being a part of that fulfills me.
Got it.
And some of that's not monetary.
Wow, man, that is so good, man. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited. You're dropping wisdom everywhere today, man. This is so great. As a coach, what's the biggest mindset shift you try to install in new agents?
So that's easy. We talked about that briefly before our podcast. I believe everything starts with the belief. And let me elaborate a little bit on that.
Okay.
So everything, this is just my philosophy. You won't find this in Wikipedia or whatever, but just the experience, life lessons in coaching, hundreds of people, 10,000 hours of coaching and things like that. Everything starts with the belief. You either believe you can or believe you can't. You believe you're successful, and depending on how you grew up in your environment, right, shapes your beliefs.
That's right.
Right? If you're in a good home, whether it's Christian or not, dads were there every day and told their kids they love them, and I believe all that. So everything starts with the belief. Your beliefs ultimately become your thoughts. You start thinking, again, bad or good. You got two different directions. Your thoughts ultimately become your words. And we talk to ourselves, man, this is not going to work. I'm nervous. I don't know if I can do this. Your words ultimately shape your actions. And your actions ultimately become your habits.
Wow.
So you look at the habits, whether I exercise, I eat right, I date my wife once a week, I spend time intentionally. Whatever your habits are, it's because you took action. Yeah. You took action because you believe.
We are more our habits, which become our disciplines, than we are our
Yes. So I'm a big mindset guy because I'm like, man, in order for you before you can receive it, you have to first believe it.
So good.
Right? So our ability to receive something, whether it's monetary or whatever, our ability to receive something is predicated on our believing of something. And so, that's where I teach people in the beginning.
Do you find that the hardest thing to coach and coaching is the mindset in general? I know it's not the getting leads, it's not the closing, it's not all the technical stuff.
That's where they want to go to.
That's where they want to go, is to the technical stuff. But the first thing you work on is just the mindset, the disciplines. Yes. And if you can shift that, right, the hardest thing to open is a closed mind. Yep. If you can shift that, then the rest of the stuff comes and you can help them have more success.
Well, 100%, right?
Wow.
It's a different perspective. The Bible clearly says it's the renewing of what? Your mind.
Renewing of your mind.
He ain't renewing your checking account.
That's right. But if you renew your mind, your checking account might get renewed.
He knew, right? And I tell my kids this. I remember telling them this. I don't know how many times I told them this growing up. The world wakes up a lot earlier than you to punch you in the throat.
Yeah, and when it can feel like getting punched in the throat a lot of times.
So if you don't wake up in the morning and first give gratitude and be thankful and come from that, you don't renew that mind first, your day is shot.
That's good. You touched on it a little bit. but the mindset's so important. I know for you to go out here and win every day. What are some of your personal disciplines? Like, so what does your day look like? Like, do you have a particular routine or exercise? I know you wake up with renewing, but kind of just walk me through like your disciplines of a day that help you be in the best mindset to have the most success.
That is success. The routine is the sign of an ambitious individual. You show me somebody who you feel is successful and ambitious, I guarantee you got a routine. Right?
So what is your routine?
So my routine is, I'm the morning guy.
Okay.
Right? And so I'm up at 6. I don't get up super early. I don't believe that you need to get up from 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm
3:30 in the morning, ice plunge first thing.
I'm not the grind, hustle guy, right? So
Right.
I believe in a balance. And so I get up at 6:30, and I read. I like a devotion app.
Renew
I like
your
something.
mind.
Yep, 100%. I'm a worship guy. I believe I go right into worship. I'll put a music. I'll put some song on. A lot of times,
Okay.
sometimes it's not even words. It's just instrumental, right? And I get my cup of coffee. I got my little routine, right? And I sit down in the exact same spot. Number one for me, right? But I also, as our kids grew up, I wanted them to know, man,
Setting that example
I
for
can
your
find my
children.
dad every day at 6:00 in the morning, sitting in that chair, drinking that coffee. Routine, showing them that as an entrepreneur, right? We take meetings with the CEO. The boss calls a meeting, we show up. God is ultimately our CEO. Why would I take a meeting with him first every single morning?
I love that.
So that's kind of my routine. And then I'm a breakfast guy. I make everybody's breakfast. I pack
For your
all
whole
the
family
kids'
every
lunch.
morning?
Yep, everybody gets breakfast. Remember the Leave It to Beaver where the lady's kind of sitting there with the bags and
Yeah,
grabbing them as
it's
they
you
go?
every morning.
That's me.
I love
right?
it, Jason.
I want to make sure my kids are fueled. Right? I want to make sure that they know that no matter what, they're first.
Okay.
God, family, everything else. That's how I run my family. It's this simple, right? Want to know my values? God, family, and then everything else is there.
Right. So you get them out the door. And
Get them out
then,
the door.
You head to the
Wife
gym.
including. Nope, and then I go straight in. So I coach every day, just different times of the day.
Okay.
Right? And so I do gym in the afternoon with the wife. That's something new that we just started incorporating. We do it together. I'm more of an afternoon gym guy. I don't like. It's not that I don't like doing it in the morning. I feel guilty if I'm doing that instead of my routine.
Basically, it's God family, but you're intentional every morning doing your prayer, renewing your mind.
Yep.
You're taking care, you're serving your family in some way.
Family first.
Then you go right into your work with your renewed mind, your discipline. I'm sure you have a routine of discipline of what you do there too every day in a set routine.
I have a weekly coach's log that I send to them that I want back 24 hours so that I know what we're talking about and not going to catch me off guard with, Coach, I need this. I'm not prepared for you.
So you're intentional every day about mind, body, soul. And at the end of the day, is it every day you're getting into the gym or do you break it up? Or?
We do 3 or 4 times a week, right?
Okay.
I've learned now rest is more valuable than the actual workout.
Rest can be just as important as the grind sometimes.
So it took me a long time to get to that point, but that's when your body, your mind, your spirit is repairing, is in the resting.
Okay. So leadership has been a thread through all your career. What does leadership mean to you? What is a leader to you? Who's been a leader in your life? And explain to me how you see yourself as a leader now in your community. And you've already kind of talked about your family, but just how you see yourself in leadership and someone that's been a great leader to you, that's been a mentor.
Man, there's one person that rises to the top is going to be my dad. Right?
Yeah.
I just talked to him today.
Give us a little context on your dad real quick. I know a little bit, but just for our viewers, kind of just give a little context on that.
Yeah, he was originally from Chack Bay, just a little town.
So am I, for the record, Chack Bay.
And I don't want to say came from nothing, right? But worked his way up. He's great with his hands, gifted with his hands, and he chose to go into the automotive field.
Okay.
He worked, automotive, became very big, successful. Opened up his own, obviously, body shop sounds so 1990. Right? Collision center, body shop, whatever.
He fixed cars. He served people.
And then, obviously he became, that service shop for the major dealerships, all around Thibodeau. So everybody kind of send them.
And he did that not in the beginning, but over time of being a business owner and having the collision center.
Just kept
he also
evolving.
Dabbled in real estate. So he was
expanding.
a serial entrepreneur.
Yep. So I remember.
And he was very successful too. For anybody that doesn't know, he in his own right, he had a lot of success.
We live on West 7th Street, and there was behind us was an empty lot, a huge lot. There were like 7 lots, and it was just empty. And they had a sign on it. It said, for sale, and it had a number on it, California number. The sign was barely broken. It was old. It'd been there for years, bro. And he had a vision that he would build townhouses. He would build apartments. And he's like, that's passive income. He's like, that's how I want to retire. This body's not going to last me forever. You know what I mean? Especially body work. It's hard physical labor.
Right.
And I know now, I didn't know at the time, but I know now he cashed in every bit of 401k. Everything.
Took that risk.
He took the risk, and he built 6 apartments. Those 6 became 12.
I think you said it earlier, like when moving to New Orleans, it's willing to make yourself uncomfortable to be comfortable later kind of thing.
I mean, he cashed everything in. He's like, man, if this don't work, we're done.
Wow.
Right?
Didn't he do something similar again later in life? Because I know he built an apartment complex later in life. I don't know if he went all in, but I know he once again took another risk and now has a very successful multifamily as well. So your dad's not risk adverse. So you got to witness that.
That's normal to me. People.
Wow.
It was so funny when me and my wife T's worlds collide. Not that mine is better or hers is worse, but they were very, very, very safe family, right? They just worked for somebody else, 8 to 5.
And you grew up seeing risk.
Just the opposite, right? Risk reward, right? You have not because you ask not, and just go after it. Right?
Wow.
I remember the first time when I wanted to buy my first house. It's like.
Did you use a relative?
I did.
Okay.
Lisa Thibodeau.
No, I know Lisa. Shout out to Lisa.
Yeah. She's Ladder and Bloom now.
That's right.
But we did use a realtor. And I was so nervous. I said, Dad, what if business doesn't work and I can't pay the mortgage? And he's like, well, then the bank's gonna come take it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's it. He goes, yeah. Well, then you just get the house back.
That reminds me of. I think I was making a big decision. I forget my decision. I think I was buying a house or maybe starting a new branch. I'm trying to remember. And I went and talked to one of my mentors one time. And I was, the fear you deal with. And he looked at me and he said, Jared, what's the worst thing that can happen if you don't succeed? I said, well, I'm going to be broke. I'll lose this risk that I'm taking. And he said, will you be any worse off if you fail than where you're at right now? I said, actually, when I think about it, no. The worst thing that can happen is I just end up right back where I'm at right now. And it really encouraged me to take that risk. And sometimes when we're looking at taking those risks, man, it can be scary. But that's just a good question to ask. What's the worst case scenario? And a lot of times we go into those situations thinking that it's always going to be the worst case scenario. And the truth is, none of us know the future. So if we're going to make up a future, why not spin that in your head and say, I'm going to succeed? I mean, what would we do if we just believed we couldn't fail?
You just said it, believe.
Right? Believe.
We are the producers and the actors of our life.
So good, Jason.
Right? Think about it.
Yeah,
we get
right.
to produce and act and change the script and rewrite this of our own life. Right? That's what separates humans from animals. We have the ability to adapt and change. A bear cannot just not decide not to hibernate. We could say, hey, you know what? This hibernating stuff sucks. I'm going this direction. Yeah. That's what separates
that free
us.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So your dad was your first mentor.
First mentor.
And he set those examples, and man, what a gift, right?
Yeah.
And then I see now we talked about like your kids, you're setting that example now.
We talk about leadership. The easiest definition I've ever heard of leadership was, bring it back, Lord, John Maxwell. He said, leadership is simply influence.
That's right.
Nothing more, nothing less. And so that's what leadership is. So you're influencing someone somewhere.
And your actions provide more influence than your words ever will.
So look back, moms are influencing their kids, dads are influencing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be on this great stage where I walk out and I see 30,000 people. You're influencing someone somehow.
Whether you know it or not.
And so you decide what kind of leader you want to be.
Man, that is so.
It reminds me of something when I was driving my kids to school. I would tell them every single day, Jared, when they would grab that handle, I'd say, hey, guys, I remember turning. I'd say, hey, remember, you got 2 choices. You can lead or follow. That's really all we have.
This is a good segue, I think, man. We're talking about, God, family, and leadership. I love all this stuff and how your dad was a mentor to you, and you're obviously a leader now to so many. But you have to be so proud. I know your kids, they're football players, and fill me on the details, but I know one got a scholarship to Tulane, right? Congratulations on that.
Yeah, man. Don't make me cry.
But
he did go to Tulane. He did commit to Tulane. He is registered for Tulane. But the football thing did not work out. And so going into his senior year, he got invited to a special football camp.
Okay.
a recruitment.
He was
camp.
like one of the top talents in
He was
the state, right?
Yeah, he had multiple different people looking at him. That was one of the camps we went to. Tackle leader, averaging 150 tackles a season.
And
this is Hayden.
Hayden.
It's Hayden, my 18-year-old, inside linebacker. He was in every play. I mean, like you had to go through him to get, you know what I mean? Especially high school, they don't throw the ball very much. They run still more. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that summer of his senior year, we went travel to Natchez or somewhere up north. A special big mega invite camp. And a one freak accident, bro. He hurt his shoulder, pulled out a socket, ripped the labrum. I mean, it was,
Wow.
Doctor said, listen, it's labrum's torn. This is done. He's like, but it's your senior year. You got multiple opportunities to play football at the next level. He's like, if we do surgery now, you won't have a senior year. So he's like, best case scenario, we can do some rehab, and that's why you're finding out now. We kept this locking.
Yeah.
So, but we can do some rehab. We can brace you, and we'll see what kind of season you get, right? And so it gave him hope. Now, doctor pulled us on the side and said, listen, man, if he gets 2 or 3 games, let him play. It ain't going to work. You know what I mean? Dang. So we was expecting 2 or 3 games. It is what it is. Your boy made 11.
Wow.
He made it into his last game. He's
a leader in his own right.
He's like, I'm not quitting on my team. So we made it to the state championship. The last game before that, I'm talking 2 minutes in the fourth quarter, he re-injures it, and it's over. Like it's. So anyway, we done the surgery. He has 9 anchors in his left shoulder.
My goodness. Man.
And the doctor's like, look, man, you can play, but what you want to go to school for? He wants to be an orthopedic surgeon. That's what he wants to do.
Okay.
He's like,
do you think that's because of his injury? He wants to help other people.
Both shoulders. In 8th grade, he did the exact same thing in a state championship wrestling match.
Dang.
Right? He was pinned. He wouldn't give up, and he was like, either you break it or. And that's exactly what happened. He broke it.
Golly.
So the doctor told us that if you want to be, obviously he fell in love with anatomy. He fell in love with, the body and how it heals, and I think it's gonna make a phenomenal doctor with compassion and empathy and bedside manner because he's lived that out.
He's going through it.
And so again, getting back to that, so he's gonna go to Tulane. Doctor said, man, if you can we do a surgery? Yeah, we can do a surgery and take a bone from a rib and make your bone. And he's like, but you'll have arthritis at about age 30. So if you want to go surgery and do all of this, like you won't make it as an orthopedist.
So he went through all the trials, and I played football when I was young. I mean, that's not an easy thing, especially to get to that next level. All the work, the 2-a-days, the exercise, the sacrifice you make. And he went through all that, had a scholarship to Tulane, and right at the last moment, basically got a career in the injury.
Shift happens.
Yeah, shift happens. Man, I'm so sorry, man. Yeah. But it's okay because now he has a different understanding and God's using it and he's going to do something different and serve people just like his father and like your father did. And I think the example both you and your father set. But how did he handle that adversity? And how much of him watching you have your routine and be in your disciplines and just like you watched your father and your leadership, I mean, it had to crush him.
Well, I think it crushed me and my wife more than them because, I mean, obviously there's nothing I can do as a dad. And what do you want to do as a dad other than fix every situation possible? You know what I mean?
But he still is going to Tulane.
He is still going to Tulane. You don't know what you don't know. But looking back at it now, he has a full ride academic scholarship. Athletic scholarship can be taken away. You hurt yourself, they can take it away. Right. Academic is yours.
So he was bronze and he had to be smart.
So he's cool. 4.0. He's a National Honor Society and member. So he's got both. He's gifted, man. He's really blessed. Good. So the hardest thing was how's his mindset going to be? Is he going to be angry with God? If he's going to be why me?
Chip on his shoulder.
Absolutely. And we let him do that. We let him work through that process. We didn't micromanage his feelings. We let him do his own thing. And he still has some opportunities, to even to play at the next level, just not with Tulane. Some smaller colleges came calling. And he said, Dad, Mom and Dad, I made a decision to move forward with my career because I know I'm more than a football player.
So good.
And this just goes back to knowing who he is. And I think me and my wife, because we were intentional building them up, right? With our words, with our affirmation, with our lifestyle, right? He knew that, hey, football is not who I am. It's just what I had opportunity to do.
Man, I think that shows maturity beyond his years. Because how many people, and I think I've been guilty of this in my own career at different times.
Yeah, I've chased opportunities.
Well, opportunities, but our identity, we can get it. I am a real estate agent. I am a football player. I am an entrepreneur, and you just get your identity wrapped so much in that if you lose that identity, and if you don't have your identity in something more stable, your core,
right?
and you lose that thing, which you can, it can be devastating. So
Well,
to know that he had that maturity at such a young age to go through all that and understand that I'm so much more than a football player, I think speaks volumes to UNT's just parents.
Look at this unfortunate situation that just happened with Kyron Lacy, man. That's a football player, homegrown,
It's a tough
Thibodeau
one,
kid.
right?
He just couldn't hold on because of the pressure. And I even had a convicted moment. I'm like, here I am crying about my son not playing at the next level. This guy made it all the way to the next level.
Yeah.
And I remember one thing my dad always told me is that, man, we're always one decision away from it all going just we're always we're only one decision away from just life changing.
Yeah.
And maybe
What a sad story.
it is. It's unfortunate. It's disgusting, actually. But maybe he didn't know who he was outside of a football player.
Yeah, his identity may, and I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's
I don't
quite
respect
possible.
it,
I mean,
it's like
your whole identity can get wrapped up, and he may have had the fear that was going to be taken away from him, and it just wasn't.
So that's where we are. But and we got Luke right behind him. Luke's gonna be a junior this year. He's a quarterback.
Yeah,
and
so,
so,
he's very good too. Is he as good as his? Well,
yeah, that's two different worlds. I mean, quarterback is more thought, right? Because he not only has to worry about his position, the wide receiver's position, where are the linebackers, where are the safeties. So it's just more of a cerebral.
Got it.
Versus Hayden was more physical.
But he does have a real opportunity to go to the next level.
Yes, but just like any kid, just like you and your boys, right? You learn from the first one how to do a better job with the second.
Absolutely. Yeah, the kids don't come with a handbook.
Yeah, and it's not on purpose, but we definitely took some takeaways from Hayden's journey that we're not going to make the same mistake with Luke.
Got it, man. So moving forward, what's next for Jason DeLotte, man? You've done so much. You're always pivoting. What kind of legacy do you want to leave for your family, or what's next? What's the next big thing on the horizon? Are you just locked in right now to this coaching? I'm not going to say forever because I know you're going to continue to grow. But what's the next big thing? Are you still selling houses? Or are you just more focused on the coaching? And what's legacy for you?
So legacy for me is just number one, presence.
Okay.
Right? Just being present. I want to teach my kid that if I'm here, I'm here. So I'll give you a quick example of that, and I'll move on. I build my day around their schedule.
Got it.
So when it's football season,
Selflessness.
when it's football season, you will find me, and most likely only me, sitting in the bleachers by myself at 4 o'clock to watch them practice. And you might say, why would you do that? For one reason and one reason only. Right? Not that they do, but any moment they want to do like this, they know that is there. Right? I have the ability and the capability to be there. I want to be there. Right? So I want to just teach my kids, I don't have to do anything for you. I just got to. We're human beings. We're not human doers. So what I mean by that is sometimes we just need to be with our wife.
Just be present.
Be with our family. Be with our business. Just be. Right? So that's legacy for me. Just I want them to say, no matter what, man, my dad was always there. And just like any parent, you want to do what you didn't have, or my dad told me this a long time ago when I had my first child, Caroline. So Caroline, I'm going to be a grandpa, by the way. Right?
Congratulations.
Caroline, she's in Thibodeau, married.
Are they going to call you grandpa or pappy?
I don't know. We're working on something cool. Right? Maybe pops or something. But he said, man, I'll tell you the secret of how to be a good dad. Now this is me at 21 years old. Still wet behind the ears.
Yeah, still a kid.
Like the old guys used to say. He said, I'll tell you the secret of how to be a good dad. He said, you take one thing from your childhood that you think that I could have improved on, and you improve it. Right?
Good advice.
And so for me, it was easy. My dad was always quick to say, I love you. I'm proud of you. Right? My dad never held back showing me the love of a father. But he never showed me the love of God. And so that's my one thing. Talk about legacy. How do you make the DeLotte name better? So one day I'm going to sit down with my kids and say, hey man, I'm going to tell you how to be a good dad. Right? You take one thing. So for me, it's like not only do they get dad loves you, I'm proud of you, I see you working hard. They now know the love of a father that can love them more than I can ever imagine. I can love them. That's legacy to me.
Got it. Man, that is good. That's a good answer. What are you focused on more right now? Like as far as business wise, entrepreneurship.
And I'll tell you what I'm feeling, that I'm uncomfortable, that I'm nervous. I don't know. Maybe I'll say it out loud, and you can hold me accountable to it. Right?
Let's go.
Is I want to create a platform where I can help people stop negotiating with their potential.
Explain that.
Mindset, man. We talk ourselves. Mel Robbins has a book called The 5-Second Rule.
Okay.
Right? And it's not that I dropped something on the ground, I got 5 seconds to eat it. Right?
Yeah, bless it.
The 5-second rule is basically our brains are wired to keep us safe. Our brains are wired for us not to run through red lights, not to jump off of, not to touch a hot. Like our brain is designed to keep us safe. That's really what our brains are designed to do. And so, if you've ever been in a meeting and you had an idea, or ever been in a setting where you wanted to ask a question, or you saw this guy across the room and you wanted to go, right? And if you don't move, Jared, in 5 seconds,
you lose that opportunity.
Your brain literally starts talking you out of doing it, right? So let me give you an example. I'm going to say a series of numbers. Same series of numbers, just two different ways. And after I finish it, I want you to tell me the first thing that pops into your mind. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
6,
7.
yeah,
right?
8, 9, 10, of course.
I'll do it exactly. Do it a different way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Lift off.
Right? Same numbers, two different things, right?
Yeah.
So the whole premise is when you feel that I need to go talk to that guy, I need to make this phone call to close this deal, I need to
go
pick up the phone, pick up the prospect, move the covers back, get up, go to the gym, make a decision within 5 seconds. That's mindset.
Man, I love that. I think I've done that. I know you've done it. I love how you just put it in perspective. And what I'm hearing you say is you think you can bring more value maybe in the future, legacy, being more of a life coach in general than just a real estate coach. You have more value to bring to people than just coaching them. You can help them sell houses, but you can help change their lives. It's such a small thing. So more of a total life coach to help with their total mindset in life. And maybe you're probably doing that now and coaching them in real estate. They think they're coming to learn how to sell more houses. Yeah. What you're really doing is helping them have a better life by changing their mindset, not even realizing a lot of times. Yeah. So you can shift more into being a life coach than just, but beyond being a real estate.
Because and what people don't understand is, they come to me to help them sell real estate, but they're a father first, they're a dad first, they're a son first, they're an uncle first, right? And if I can help you change your mindset, you can go be better in all those different areas. Yeah. Not just the business side.
That's right. You know what I like to be intentional about? I've done this since I was young, and I'm realizing it now, but I've heard it said since, but like I'll get like butterflies in my stomach or like some like fear in my stomach when I'm thinking about doing different things. Like even back to when I was door knocking, or just like calling a contractor to make a deal, or even calling you, right? Sometimes like to try to set up this interview, I'll get like a little nervousness. But I've learned if something makes me nervous or scared, I literally lean into out of discipline and chase what scares me and what I'm fearful of. So it's almost like, it's kind of like I'm nervous about it. Oh, I got to do it now. That's the thing I'm going to do. Or, man, that's a big thing I can't do. It scares me. Well, I want to do this easy thing, but now I know that this is scary. So I'm going to lean into the hard, scary thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's talk about it, right? Physical therapy. Let's talk about anatomy. Your mind and your body are separate. Your body doesn't know what your mind knows.
But you could be scared and still do it.
Well, what I mean by that, being excited and being frightened to your body, there does no difference, right? You're excited, you get anxious, you get nervous, right? You still get anxious, you get sweaty palms when you're nervous, you get sweaty palms when you're excited.
Reaction.
The physical reaction is the exact same. It's the mind telling you either you're excited or you're nervous. This is where it happens.
That's right.
Your body's going to still react the way it reacts. Wow. So to answer your question, man, I really feel that this with there's so many different opportunities and platforms and school.
I love that, guy.
There's so many different ways to touch people. Yeah. So much broader.
There's so much. We have so much.
Then the one.
Alex Ramosi says that easier to become a millionaire now today in this time than ever before in history, but that the least amount of people ever are doing it. And what he says is the opportunity is easier than ever, but also distraction. We have more distractions than ever, and we, in America especially, can be so comfortable whether we take a risk or not. Because no matter what in America, you're going to eat, you're going to have somewhere to lay your head, and so it's so easy not to take a risk. So it's the easiest time in history not to take a risk, but it's also the easiest time in history to become a millionaire. And he said that's going to continue to progress too. It's going to get easier and easier, but less and less people will do it.
Well, it's about, from the book Good to Great.
Yeah, I love that's one of my core books. Man.
Good is the robber of great.
Good is the robber of great.
And so when you ask them about it, how's business? Business is good. How's family? Business is good.
It's okay.
It's settling.
Yeah.
It's settling. And the enemy would love for you to do nothing more than to settle versus go after the guy.
So good, Jason. So good. Let me just kind of wrap up. We'll do some rapid fire stuff real quick. I'll hit you. What's one book that changed your life? Don't tell me the Bible, because I know that's constant. So besides the Bible, what's one book that you read that just gave you that insight that changed your life?
I'll go outside the Bible, but I will say I think every
you can give me more than one.
I think every book is in the Bible. Every principle that people write these books on is in the Bible. So I'll say that. Right? Okay. So the EOS Life. The EOS Life by Gino Wickman.
That book.
I want to do what I love with people that I love, make a huge impact, compensated appropriately, and have time.
Really? That's the book you're going to give me.
Why? Spencer gave you the same book?
No. Well, I'm actually interviewing Spencer later this week, and I'll be doing one with him. But we run LaJohnny's Pest Control on EOS, and I got drug into it, kicking and screaming. And I love the EOS system, and I'm going to be talking a lot about that next week. And it's a great program. But I'm I'm visionary, so it's when I asked you one book that changed your life, my wife just is going to be clapping, by the way, when she hears that answer from you. But for me personally, I was surprised that book would be the one that you would choose.
I think that's ultimately what we're trying to get to is those 5 things. We want to do what we love, with people we love, make a huge impact, be compensated appropriately, and then ultimately
tune in for one of our episodes in the future. Yeah, Spence. We're going to be talking a lot about EOS and everything.
Great guy, by the way. Love that guy.
Yeah. Best advice you ever got from anyone? Just the best advice you got that really just sticks with you, something that you repeat to your kids or to your people you're coaching with, that's just a staple of advice that sticks with you through your life. You've already dropped so many, but if you
the first thing that pops in my mind when my dad said, "Man, it's just okay to be you. It's okay to be Jason." Right?
Be authentic.
Being fake is exhausting.
You gotta be real smart,
right? And so I heard a quote to go with that. It says, and the Bible warns us about this. It says, "Money doesn't change people.
It amplifies.
It unmasks people. People take their mask off when you're dealing with their money. You get to see who's behind them." But the biggest advice, to go back to that, is my dad said, "Man, it's okay. It's okay to be you.
It's okay to be you."
Right? You know why? Because there's only one of you.
Yeah. I think in today's world, that advice rings truer than ever, because with all the social media and all the platforms and everything, I think we can get caught up real easy in looking at other people's lives and trying to be something that we're not, and not be authentic to ourselves. A lot of pressure, I think, on young people, especially.
There's more pressure on the 20 age than ever before. They're not just kids in there on social media and playing video games. The pressure of this world and that 20-year-old gap right now is
I wouldn't want to be a 20-year-old either. Wow, crazy. What's one thing you wish more people understood about success, Jason?
That it's not sexy, right? It's small.
Look sexy, bro. You look good in here,
it's
man.
Small.
I don't know. Tell me.
I appreciate that. Shout out to my guy Sonny Mitchell, who dresses.
All right. Even got that embroidered on the sleeve. Let's not miss it, guys. This dude's playing for real. We got JPD on the sleeve.
That's so I can write it off. But real success is not sexy, right? It's the simple things done consistently over time, right? It's the routine. It's the discipline, right? I mean, think about the most richest place, I don't say on earth, right? But think about a bank. The bank has all the money, right? But it's the most boring place to go to.
Yeah.
So be boring.
Be authentic.
Be boring.
And do the hard things every day.
Success is not sexy. It's doing the little things.
We said it earlier, but I think Harmozy says this to keep referring to him. But he said winning feels like getting kicked in the teeth almost every day with just small victories where it doesn't feel like that along the way. Right?
Well, what does the Bible say? The Bible says that He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. But you're rewarded publicly
what you do privately.
by what you do privately.
Yeah,
no one sees the real grit of keeping a schedule, keeping consistency, eating right, all of this stuff. Right? Nobody sees that. They just see. We allow people to see what we want them to see.
20-year overnight success, right?
Oh yeah. It doesn't. That's not real.
So you talked a lot about it, but if someone's stuck spiritually, financially, professionally, where do they start? And what's the first thing? Somebody's really struggling. They want to become an entrepreneur. They want to be a leader for their family, right? They want to just be a leader in general, but they're just stuck, either out of fear or just not knowing where to go. Where would you recommend that 20-year-old that wants to be an entrepreneur and leader one day? Where does he start?
I would tell them to get a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, right? And on one side of it, write all the things you were doing when you felt successful, when you felt happy, when you felt like you was a part of something, right? So maybe it's high school. What did you do in high school? Well, I woke up at this time. I played football. Write down what you were doing that you felt, hey, I was the happiest here. And then write down current, what you're feeling, right? Feeling depressed, don't hang out with everybody, whatever. And then you know what to do because you have what you're not doing versus what you were doing. So there's the gap right there. Because all getting unstuck is connecting what you know, what you don't know. That's how we learn. We take something that we don't know and we connect it to something that we do know, right? So if I know 2 plus 2 is 4, right? Then 2 plus 3 should be 5 because I'm connecting what I know with what I don't know. So that's where you draw the line down the center. This is when I was my happiest, when I didn't feel stuck, I didn't feel depressed. This is what I was doing. Now I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling stuck. This is what I'm doing. See the gaps, fill in the gaps.
It's good, Jason. Wow, good advice, man. You dropped so much wisdom today. Thank you so much for coming on Main Street Mogul today. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I think you've dropped so much wisdom. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, if they need help selling a house or coaching, what's the best way they can get in touch with you?
Yes, Instagram is probably my platform of choice, right? So it's just at Jason Delatte on Instagram. If you wanted to, I have the Delatte Group is my real estate kind of company or team or group I've formed underneath the umbrella of Compass. My number, if you wanted to, we'll put it probably in the caption.
Yeah, we'll do that.
We'll do all that. And so, but if you really want to connect with me on social, that's kind of where I do a lot.
So what's your Insta?
Yeah, so it's just at Jason Delatte.
At Jason Delatte.
And if you follow, don't be a silent follower. Engage, comment, DM. Let's really get connected.
Okay. Jason, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Main Street Mogul, we're out. Tune in next time. Like I said, we're going to be interviewing Spence and talking a lot about EOS and some more coaching stuff. And as always, I love you guys. Thank you. You have a blessed